welcome back to the club. Today we'll be talking about what everyone needs, what everyone wants, and that is food, that is cuisine, that is good home cooking, okay? We're talking about creating cuisine. We're your hosts, Akila Friends.
And I'm Ebony Chapman.
And for those of you watching along, we can see that we're joined by a very special guest. Let's welcome Natasha of A Silly Glam Cooks. Hey! Hi, Natasha. How are you?
Hello. I am so well. I'm super excited to be doing my first podcast. So, I gotta make sure I'm right for y'all. But I'm super excited to be here. So thanks for having me.
Well, you came ready to serve, so we are excited because you look great, and this interview is about to be just as great. So
that's what I'm talking about. Come on, energy. This is a whole production, okay? And the same kind of passion that we're talking about when we talk about like talking to Chef Natasha and what we're doing, we want to know from you, like, where does your passion for cooking come from?
Yeah, look, I've been cooking basically since I started college. So that's now 10 years. I'm aging myself. 10 years ago, obviously, I grew up, in a home where my mom obviously just loved to cook. She's Jamaican. She threw down. Young kid, had no interest in the kitchen ever. It wasn't until I went away where I realized, oh, shoot, maybe I should have paid a little bit more attention to what she was doing. But just like any of my other college roommates, on a Sunday, call my mom up. Girl, what'd you do at Oxtail? Please tell me all the secrets. And so honestly, just started to do stuff in the kitchen on my own back in college days. And then right after school, I moved to New York 2 weeks after. And I just kind of got into that lifestyle, like cooking for my roommates, cooking for myself. It just kind of was that release after work. I called it like my therapy, right? Because jumping into corporate America right after college was definitely a lot. And so getting that little reprieve after coming home after a long day, being able to fend for myself was just comforting and reminded me of home. So kind of just jumped right into it. I missed home. I missed my mom's food. And then I just found a love for it.
Yeah. So it sounds like you were the favorite person to have hosts and events and stuff at the house. If you're cooking that much, oxtails, child, I'm coming.
Listen,
Natasha's house today because
girl, so many girls' nights.
Yes, I love that.
What were you doing beforehand? You said that you went to New York and you jumped into a corporate job. So what was?
Yeah, so I went to University of Florida. Go Gators! That's my plug. I got recruited to be in merchandising at Macy's corporate. And so Macy's had basically this transitional program, if you will, where you got a corporate job, but you were training for 8 weeks in the summer to become an assistant buyer. And so it was just back in 2011, the market was trash. And really that job just was incredible to have and to have this salary and to be in New York. It just was an amazing opportunity. And I never saw myself in merchandising or buying or any of that, but it just so happened that that's where God called me. And it was an amazing opportunity. And it turned into a really long and wonderful career for me at Macy's. I was there for almost 9 years, straight through. And for millennials, that's unheard of. We don't stay nowhere too long. So, it was a cool opportunity for me.
That's incredible. So I just want to confirm, are you working corporate, whether or not at Macy's, full-time or right now A Silly Glam Cooks? Is that kind of your 9 to 5, 24/7 gig?
Girl, it's my 24/7 now. So I've had a couple of stints with entrepreneurship. So when I moved to New York back in 2011, I was this new assistant buyer, thrown into this fashion environment, which I kind of wasn't called to. I didn't really think that was my vibe, a fashionista person, but I kind of tried to embrace it. And so I started blogging, right? And doing the whole thing of Fashion Week in New York, the whole vibe. I kind of started to pivot more towards the beauty end of things and doing natural hair. 2011, that's when natural hair was at its peak. And so the blog went crazy. And really, it was too much for me to handle. I'll be honest, at that time, I kind of dropped the ball on it. And I said to myself, if I ever got that chance again, if it ever came back and something I was doing was at its zenith, at its pinnacle, I would never let it go again. And so that's kind of what's happened 10 years later, which is insane. With now my cooking vertical, it's really at a point where I'm so blessed to be able to do it full time, but it was just because I let, that great opportunity go 10 years ago.
I think that's interesting to even kind of talk about a little bit more about this blog that blew up, kind of went viral. People were kind of swirling it around, and you're like, how do I deliver on demand of needing to blog X amount of times a day or a week or whatever your schedule was. Can you kind of just talk through, I guess, like your moment or the feeling when you felt like, oh my God, I'm dropping the ball, I can't handle it.
Yeah.
Like, what do I do?
So the blog was popping. I was getting invited to like exclusive events. I was meeting back then like the gurus in natural hair. Like it was just crazy. So I took it upon myself to throw a natural hair event. They were kind of starting to pop up back in 2011 in the summer. And I was like, let's just do a natural hair event. Partnered with, I'm not sure if you guys know Around the Way Curls, two really dope Philly influencers. And we did a curly girl collab, had a natural hair event. It was an amazing success. And then after that, I just felt like I had worked so hard, like pedal to the metal, like nonstop. And I fizzled. Like I really fizzled. Like I just needed like a break. I felt like I was burnt out. I was doing corporate. Also trying to like ascend in that, you know, corporate ladder environment while my blog is now on this like path that's just like going up and up and up. And I'm like, what do I do? Like, I'm not ready for this. Keep in mind, I had been in New York for like 6 months. So I'm 22 years old. All this stuff is happening. I just felt like overwhelmed. And then I felt after I did that natural hair event, everything just started to kind of like sizzle because I faded away a little bit. Like I was like, let me take a break. I wasn't as consistent. Y'all know in the business, consistency is key. Like it literally is the difference between success and failure. And so I just fizzled away a little bit. And that's when I knew like, oh my gosh, I like literally dropped the ball. And if the chance ever came back, I will not stop.
Yeah. So
it's
did you?
So interesting I think we're probably going to ask the same thing. Like, so
probably.
interesting.
We're always on the same page.
You know, to even realize, okay, you took that break. And you're thinking now, if I ever got that opportunity again, it's interesting that you went to cooking as that separate opportunity versus going back to natural hair to say, you know what, I can try this again 2 years later.
We're always on the same page.
Always.
It's crazy. That was
so it's funny because I always felt like I was someone that had so many interests. And that's a lot of people's stories now that I talk to so many different people about like career paths and opportunity and like, how do you choose what you really want to focus on? I was the type where like, yeah, I love natural hair, but then I didn't want to get pigeonholed into just natural hair, right? Because I'm so much more than that. And I felt like I had so much more to offer. And within the lifestyle space, it's really challenging to be a jack of all trades. Like you really have to kind of pick something and stick to it in order to see, I think, true success. Monetizing your business type of success. And then also like your community. Right? Like building people that actually are following you for a particular reason. And so I just wanted to be like this lifestyle person just floating out there. Like I love all these different things, but it's like, no, like I'm really good at a few things. So which one do I want to focus on? And for me, like I had done the hair thing. I did the beauty thing. I dabbled in it, but it's like, what's my true purpose? And like, what burns my soul? What brings me on fire? And it was like, someone told me literally pre-pandemic at a vision board party, she said to me, if someone's asking you about the same thing 3 or more times, pay attention to it and think about why they're asking you that 3 or more times. And with my cooking, if I posted anything in my Instagram stories or Snapchat, back 2 years ago, like it was the most engagement I ever got. And I never paid attention to it because I never thought that it was something that was a part of me in that way, right? Like something that was truly something that I could take far. Like I just never thought about it. And so I started to think about stuff after she said that vision board, party, and really thinking about the next year of my life, 2020 pandemic hit. I was like, all right, this cooking thing, let me see something real quick.
Right. And the timing of it all too, to start, it sounds like really got it going in the pandemic. Yeah. Folks are at home. Folks want to cook, and then
we needed to eat.
We needed to eat at home,
and there was no food on the shelves. There was nothing in the store. What we gonna do?
What we gonna do? And so it really, it's great to hear that one, talking your ideas out loud and hearing, just really getting the advice from other folks, even it doesn't have to be very granular, but you heard something enough and you took it seriously enough to let me think on it.
Did.
And then act on it, and that's awesome.
I did.
I want to know too, like, what are some of those transferable skills? Because yes, I think you're right. We're in the era of multi-hyphenates. Like, we are multi-hyphenates, the way we talk.
Hello?
Oh, I'm interested in this, that.
Yeah.
But what things that did you take away from your natural hair journey and really trying to monetize that side that now you do with the cooking, and taking it obviously to another level that you're able to be consistent and profitable and just happy with what you're doing?
Look, I think that the most important thing, and I'll also like tie Macy's and like corporate America into it as well. So I'm a marketer by trade. So I started in buying, but then I switched to marketing like a year later. So the majority of my career was actually corporate marketing. So working with brands, hiring influencers, like when the digital age really started, like pivoting to an omni-channel approach. So that I think has embedded in me a business side that, is beneficial because I understand, one, what the brands are looking for, and I understand how to treat it like a true 9-to-5, like a true job. Like I'm not just picking my hours and doing, like I'm waking up and doing everything that you would do if you had to report to a corporate job. And so that type of experience definitely helped me out in this kind of entrepreneurship journey, because it's hard. And it takes a lot of discipline and a lot of effort to, sustain it, which is why, like, literally this time around, I'm like not stopping at all. And then being in the beauty space back then and starting out in natural hair and all of that, the one thing I dropped the ball on was the consistency piece. So taking on that challenge now to say, even when I don't feel like it, right? Like taking your feelings out of it and actually treating it more as a business, right? Like if I didn't feel like going to Macy's, like I still showed up because I need that check, because that check's don't come every 2 weeks. And so even if I don't feel like editing my videos, I edit them and I still do it because I know that that consistency, right, is what's going to pay off in the long run, and what has paid off in just a year in building the community that I have.
You better.
Yeah,
you better, Natasha.
I think that is great work, because I can definitely agree with the whole like 9-to-5 piece, because you have to be organized with email management, response times, and getting your work done. And even though like in an entrepreneurship setting, like no, you're not having you are your own direct report, right?
Yeah.
But there's so many things behind the scenes that do need to get done. People are emailing you, events you need to organize, your calendar. Like there's still very much so the 9-to-5 vibe that goes on with an entrepreneurship job.
Absolutely.
When it came to like your cooking, do you have any like formal training, or is this all just been kind of like home cooking and the love of food for you?
Literally the love of food. I have zero culinary training. It's funny, like when this started to hit with my followers growing and everything, like I questioned myself too. I was like to my husband, like, should I enroll in culinary school in New York? Like pay this 50 grand? Like, what do you think? Like, should I do that? Because is that worth it? And I just realized that like, you don't necessarily need that formal training to do and be in the lane that I'm trying to be in, right? Like, I'm not trying to be in every culinary lane because that's not my ministry. Like, that's not what I'm called to do. I think I'm in a very specific lane when it comes to like food bloggers and being a relatable person in the kitchen to my audience. And then at the end of the day, 10 years from now, the growth that I'm looking for is still more on like the entertainment side. It's still looking at Aisha Curry and Chrissy Teigen and saying, I like what they're doing. I can kind of see myself doing something similar. It's not the lane of like, I want to go be on Top Chef, right? So you have to kind of pick your lane and be laser focused on what that is and like what the end goal is going to be and what you need to get there. I think culinary school is incredible. And if I could do it like, in a week as a new mom, like with a 4-month-old, it probably wouldn't be possible. But like, I would love to like get the training that is out there. But I think for the lane that I'm trying to explore, what's going to be most beneficial is like traveling the world, right? Like having other cuisines, meeting other food bloggers, and like collaborating and partnering and learning different methods of doing things. But I don't see myself necessarily on the path to like traditional culinary, desires right now.
And that's good to really know your lane and know that there's really opportunities out there to still really like thrive in what you're doing.
And your interests.
Totally.
Yeah. I'm curious too, like let's dial it back again. You started this, it's I guess officially a year and some change.
Yes, it literally just hit a year, June 19th.
June 19th. Okay, so happy
Juneteenth.
1 year, literally Juneteenth, the liberation of it all.
Okay.
So how did you grow your following to now over 70K? What do you think from that marketer's perspective, as you mentioned, but also through that consistency? Like, what are some of the real practical steps? Because I think everyone says consistency is key. Post your videos, post your things.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah. Really that only gets you so far.
That only gets you so far. And there's so many food bloggers in the ecosystem. Yeah. What do you think propelled you to over 70K and growing?
Yeah. I mean, I think what propelled me was starting on TikTok at a time that was just prime, right? Like I started the TikTok account in January of 2020, which actually was still pre-pandemic, right? Like nothing was really popping off in January. I think it was more so like millennials being like, let me see what people really talk about, right? Like I was like, let me see what these dances are. Let me see what's happening. Didn't post, honestly, was just an onlooker. And then finally started to post, but then I had to delete all my stuff because I was like, again, I'm doing that same thing where I'm not picking a niche and sticking to it. So when I realized, all right, let me just post food. I deleted all my like stupid videos, posted the food, started to like see a little bit of traction, but there's no true formula because the video that went viral was just like I never would have thought. It wasn't anything that I did anything different. And it sucks to say, but like I didn't do anything different. It just was delicious and it looked appetizing like most of the food does. And it went crazy. And I think playing up on that momentum, right? Like there are tons of people, millions of people that have like at least one viral video on TikTok, but they don't play up on that opportunity. And so I saw it as an opportunity and I kept at it. I didn't stop. I kept, posting appetizing, delicious, like thumb-stopping content on TikTok. And for whatever reason, I decided like, can I see the same traction on Instagram? That's the challenge, right? Like I thought to myself, like TikTok, the virability is there. Like they're not honing in on this algorithm yet. I can grow there, fine, whatever. But if I can do this on Instagram, then something's really there. Like monetization is there, branding and community is there. Like if I can replicate it. And it was the same thing. Like Instagram basically will reward you if you're consistent and if your content is what your audience is voting for. So we know that food is really hot right now. Food was hot in the pandemic and people want easy, delicious stuff that is relatable. And I narrowed in on a niche. So I picked food. Not only did I pick food, but I picked how I presented my food. I presented it in, really quick, short formats. And I spoke over my videos. A lot of people don't necessarily speak over their videos. So they'll add music, which is cool. Like I love the music too. So I do both. I do music and I do voiceovers. And I think for whatever reason, the combination of the editing with the voiceover is really the differentiator for me. And like you mentioned, like tons of people out there do that same format now, but we can all rise to the top, right? Like I love when all creators can rise to the top. And so it was just the right time, right opportunity. I think it's definitely replicatable. I just think that you have to find the content that the people are voting for, basically.
So interesting.
What's that viral video real quick? Just what was that viral video?
So the first viral video I ever had was just chicken thighs and a creamy spinach sauce. Like that was the dinner. Chicken thighs, apparently on TikTok, people really love. Like I just had a video last week of another chicken thigh dish that I did almost hit 1 million. So like people really like chicken thighs. And that's the part, at least my audience, that's what they vote for. It's not even my favorite, right? But I figure out ways that I want to eat chicken thighs because I know that they like it a lot. I'm like, boy, this is crazy.
I bet you're eating a whole lot of chicken thighs and a whole lot of food.
People love chicken. I don't know if it's because it's cheap. They love it. And like my audience also really vote for like seafood. So they love like shrimp and salmon and like chicken. Like those are the top 3 proteins. Like you post that, like you're guaranteed like thousands of views. Yeah, they really like it. So you just pay attention to stuff like that though, right? Like the marketer perspective is understanding your analytics. What are people viewing? Like, what do they spend their time looking at from a view through rate perspective? Are they finishing your video? And what video are they finishing the most? Like, do more of that. How do you iterate on that and make it different and more interesting next time? And so I really focused in on my analytics and like what my audience is voting for with their voice.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too, because like we definitely had one viral video that like went crazy on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, oh my gosh, like what is like we were, you know, I told her, I was like, ooh, I just wanted to get to X number, like just X number, right? And then it like, exceeded my expectations of like we thought it was gonna do. But you're right, like there's legit no formula. Like we did not know.
There's no formula.
Like we saw something similar and we were like, oh, we're gonna try this, and then it was like, it blew up. And like we've definitely are trying to figure out like what is that
to repeat it. And I think it's awesome that you're able to repeat some of those things. That's the difference. That's a difference. And I think
that's the difference for sure. It's studying the content. It's really studying the content and seeing like what did it for people. And I'm like a fan of like commenting to my community and like really trying to get it out of them. Like if they put heart emoji, I'm like, oh, so is this something you would try? Like, why would you try it? Who would you be making this for? Like, I really try to like get out of them, you know, what made them stop, to then not just stop, but to comment, to share. A lot of my videos, it's interesting. Like the analytic I pay a lot of attention to is the saves. Because the saves means you didn't only view it, but you're saving this in your archive for later. So that to me, like surpasses viewership, surpasses likes. And I want to see if the saves is like higher than sometimes the viewership, which is crazy. So they're not even liking it, but they'll save it.
Yes. That's
I do that all the time. Yes. I do that. I have folders.
It's like, why? Like it too.
Yes. No, I like it. And then I save it because I'm like, ooh, I want to make this for later. Do I do it? Maybe not. But the point is I have it there so I don't have to go searching for the video later.
Totally.
The other thing I want to just make sure we know, because you said it earlier, like this is your 24/7 gig. Like this is your, you know, this is your baby that you're growing into your empire. Like, did you start that before, you know, did you quit your job pretty much before starting a Silly Glam Cooks, or you kind of were doing it, testing it out, and then once you realize this is something that I can really monetize, then you decided to do it full time?
So it's two parts. So when I left Macy's, it was 2019. And I left, I went on a sabbatical for like a year. It was an unintentional sabbatical. I was interviewing my ass off. I was trying to make the switch from retail to tech, which is unheard of. It's really hard, but I felt that my skill set was very transferable based on just like what I was doing in my last year and a half at Macy's. And so it made sense to kind of make that pivot. Was unsuccessful, basically just said, I'm sick of this. Like, if you know anything about like the tech industry and their interview process, like it's brutal. So like after having done that for, let's call it 6 months, hardcore, I was just like, I need a break. So I took a break, and that was like right before the pandemic hit. And I started to just like say, I'm not going to interview. Like, I just need like a moment. That's when I started to do the videos and really like lean into the cooking thing and the, you know, be more intentional about it. Didn't see how it could necessarily be my full time at that point. And so fast forward to like a couple months later, we found out we were expecting. So I was pregnant now in the pandemic. And I was like, okay, maybe I do kind of need to start interviewing again. Like, you really get that fear in you when you think about like the future and like bringing a child into the world, all that stuff. So I essentially got back on the corporate wagon in marketing for another retailer, and did that job until I delivered my son. And then I was on maternity leave. And right before my maternity leave was up, I decided to resign. So I decided that based off of what I had seen and the trend while on maternity leave for my business, I was like, nah, I can't go back and not really give this thing full throttle, like give it a try.
Yes.
And so I didn't take a maternity, really, if you think about it. Like, I delivered, maybe took 2 weeks, maybe, and then got back into my videos and editing and like pitching and like everything hardcore. So I saw the fruits of that labor, right? Of like what that did. And I was like, I can't go back. I have to give this a shot.
I love it.
Yeah. I mean, so technically I have only been doing this since March, full time, technically.
Wow.
So still very new.
Yeah, but still, yeah, exactly. Like, give you your flowers right now, because you have been killing it. And I mean, I guess when it comes to the monetizing of your business, it's like, are you finding partnerships, or are you doing events? Are you catering? Like, what are you doing?
What's the business model?
Make that money?
So the model right now, which I don't love, it's very transactional, but you have to do, I think, your your labor. Like you got to give it what it is early on in the game. It's just like being an assistant marketing manager before you become the VP, right? So I think that it's okay right now for what it is. So I'd say it's about 80% transactional, meaning I'm doing something for a brand, and in return, the brand will pay me X amount. What I've been trying to do more of is like an ambassadorship type of contract where I'm at least working with the brand for a longer period of time. So it's not just a one-off, like I'm going to give you this Instagram campaign one time. I'm going to give it to you 8 times and you're going to give me a much bigger check. So that's been like my goal, is to get more of those. And that helps too. So on your account, it's not like you're seeing 50 different brands, you're seeing like the same 5 brands. And that way I can build more rapport with my audience to hopefully get them to convert for the brand that I'm loving at that particular moment. But it's about 80% transactional with brand partnerships. Then my e-cookbooks, that's like my always on type of business in which a new follower can find me today. I could have launched the cookbook a year ago. They don't know the difference in that. So they're going to continue to support that business because that's something that's always evergreen, which is great. So I want that percentage of the business to be much bigger, but you need kind of like more support in producing those types of products because it takes a lot of time and energy and photographing and building out the recipes, producing everything. It's a lot of work. But if I can flip-flop that, I would be in a much better position because I don't want to be so transactional, because the long goal, is not to retire at 65, it's to retire like in 10 years. So,
Yeah.
So we need to flip that.
I feel like that's great to really know. And I think especially knowing that you started about literally a year and some change.
Yeah.
When did you finally decide, hey, it's time for me to do reach outs to brands, or were brands originally coming to you? Because yes, you are a cook and you have your products, but it sounds like really at the core, you are a digital creator. And so I think who are interested in that in any lane, it's like, when do we start and how do we really get brands to pay attention and to pay those dollars?
Right. You feel like you have to have a certain amount of followers and that type of thing.
You can have 5 followers literally to work with the brand. There's no minimum. All you need to work with a brand is to know that you're a brand yourself, right? Is to understand your added value and to treat yourself like the business you are. So I have a lot of that experience from the marketing side and understanding how brands work, because I would be the brand, like paying an influencer. So that comes in handy. But then also with my kind of like lifestyle, beauty, natural hair days, like I kind of dabbled in that in the beginning as well. So now it's full throttle, right? Like now it's to the point where like, this is my full time and not just like a fun side check. Like it needs to be legit. And so in the beginning, it was like, oh crap, I have to go pitch these brands because they don't know me from anybody really. So I would literally treat it like a work schedule. Like I'm going to pitch Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Administrative work on Monday. I'm going to follow up. I have my workflow of like when I'll follow up with the brand if I don't hear back. You have your day of research where literally you're just trying to find out any information on the brand and who to email, the right person to email. You're teaching yourself, you're listening to podcasts and like going on YouTube University to understand how to pitch brands appropriately, giving yourself a refresh on that. And so it's a lot, but I just started to pitch brands myself. And then it's so crazy because it's like something switches, right? Instantly. Like you're pitching every single day. And then like one day you wake up and you have pitches in your inbox. Like it's that crazy. Like you literally are on this particular schedule where you're pitching every single week. You're not hearing back from brands. And if you continue to do the work you need to do, which is putting the work into your content, right? And still getting traction and growing every single week like you're supposed to, it's crazy. The switch happens like that. I used to pitch multiple times a week. I haven't pitched in like a month because I'm like, I have to close off Q3. Like I have to look at Q4 now, like, because it's that instantaneous how it can just go boom. And you don't control that. You have to just stay the course, right? Like pitching all the time, like reaching out to brands all the time, engaging with them on social media all the time. The ones that are your dream brands that you want to work with. Girl, you look up one day and your inbox is like, would love to partner, like out of nowhere. It's crazy. So it's not a formula, but I just think if you do what you're supposed to do as a content creator and digital creator, it happens. Like, I promise you, it happens. It really does. That switch will turn quick.
That's what the people need to hear. And I want to know
it's true.
Even the beginning, before that switch happened. Let's say we're food bloggers. We have amazing cuisine. We have our favorite brands. You know, we want to work with, you know, Tillamook, or we want to have this or that person really sponsor the next piece of content. What is the pitch, or what was your pitch, or some facet that you can share with the folks to get a brand to not only open your email, because that's step one, having them open your email, but also respond.
Your kit.
Yes.
You know, I would say that that's not even a secret sauce, right? Like, some of the things I would do though for the brand is, like, if I did want to work with the Tillamook cheese, I would like go buy the cheese, create a video or a piece of content with the cheese that was just so mind-blowing that I had the numbers then to back up my pitch. Like, I did something with Cheesecake Factory the other day, and I love Cheesecake Factory. Like, I would love to work with them. They never hit me back. But what I did when they basically like opened up a ton of their recipes during the pandemic, they literally like gave you their menu recipes. And I took one of the recipes and I created a video like I normally would. And it got like, I don't know, 500,000 views, like something crazy, like out of nowhere. And I emailed their PR person and was like, yo, like, I love you guys. I just want to show you like what I've done and what I can continue to do. Like, if you're interested in this type of partnership. Now, that wasn't an example that like it worked out in my favor, but other brands, it's the same type of thing. Like, I did nothing different in that where I got no response versus in another partnership where, you know, I'm still working with this wine brand probably for the rest of the year, and simply just being like, hey girl, love your stuff. Like, would love to partner. Here's the type of content I can create. And here's why I think we're a good fit. Here's my media kit. Can we connect? Like, I'm available for a call. Like, literally treat it like how you would treat anything in your corporate role or like your daily 9 to 5. How can we get together on this? Like, let's chat. Like, never give all of your pitch up front. Like, don't tell them you want to create 5 reels for them and you want to do this. Like, never do that, because you could probably do way less based on what their needs are for the business. But yeah, the pitch is not even a secret sauce. It's really your content speaking for itself and how you can leverage their brand in your content. Because I found myself going down like pitching holes where I'm like, why am I even pitching this brand at this point? Like, it just became so like cyclical. Like, no, I probably really don't need to pitch them because they're like a vegan brand. And like, I'm not really about vegan. I just, you know, I don't want to fall into that hole of just like working with a brand just to be working with a brand for money. I want to make sure it's like a seamless fit. Like, it just makes sense, you know?
That's dope. Can you like share maybe some of the brands that you have worked with?
I mean, some of the partnerships that are live right now that my followers see like throughout my content on a monthly basis. I'm an ambassador for Food Saver, and they are like the #1 vacuum sealing company in the US. So when it comes to like food preservation, you have your house and you want to like buy Costco every month, like you need a Food Saver vacuum sealing kit in your house because it's life-changing. So that's an example where they reached out to me for the partnership. It wasn't something that I even had to like go beg for or pitch for, which is really cool. They saw the work that I did and felt like it was a good fit. But another brand that I basically tagged and like it ended up being a super organic relationship was Schmidt Brothers. And they're a knife, like a cutlery brand. I've been using them since my Macy's days. Like, I bought them at Macy's when I got my first apartment. Have had the knives for like 4 years, and one day literally showed the knife in one of my videos and tagged them, and we've been inseparable ever since. So it's like one of those things where it just, you can't put a formula to it all the time. But I do think that tagging and sharing your love for a particular brand is a great way to get their attention. And then some other partnerships, like my wine brands that I work with, Cake Bread Cellars. They are a Napa Valley vineyard, family vineyard. Really just love them, love their wine. I've created different recipes for them. And then I have some upcoming partnerships and ambassadorships that I'm working through. So it's really cool. Like I said, I honestly felt like I was getting nowhere maybe like 2 months ago with pitching. Like literally just 2 months ago, I felt like I was pitching every day. Nothing was really happening. And then one day the request turned around.
coming in.
You are doing the damn thing.
You are doing it. And I love that idea of leading with the content, because sometimes we feel like we can't put anything out there. Let me get the pitch first. Let me get them to say it. But you're like, I'm using the brand anyway. I'm going to tag the brand. I'll show you in an email and we'll see what happens. You know,
literally, I'm still waiting for Le Creuset to come holler at me, because I be showing they steal it. I'm trying to tell you.
Okay? Yes. Tell them. Before we get into, because yes, you're doing all these brands, collaborations and ambassadorships, but you also have a lot of products of your own. We'll dive right into that in a second, but I want to first get into really making sure that folks understand the brand that you're putting out for yourself and why is that. So you define yourself as the queen of easy cooking videos, making you hungry, one delicious post at a time. Like, why that tagline? Why that brand? We know you're the queen, girl, but really explain that to the people so they know just kind of why you're leading with that specific, brand recognition.
Yeah, I would say that I had to try to figure out a way to differentiate my lifestyle brand, which has been Asili Glam. My website's asiliglam.com. Asili means natural in Swahili, which was a play on trying to be this natural hair blogger a decade ago, right? And so that name really stuck with me. And so I felt like, why change it? Like, why? Like, it almost became Natasha versus being a meaningful, African name. And so that's why I stuck with the name Asili Glam Cooks. And then the tagline specifically, I don't want to say it's too deep. I would just say that it's something that I felt was my differentiator in the marketplace. I felt like people would tag themselves as like your dopest home cook. Like, I'm none of those things. Like, I'm still learning recipes as I go. But one thing I do know is that my video will probably make you stop in your tracks, right? So it's like the one thing that I'm very confident about and something that I know people are into. And so I'm a queen, you a queen, we all queens. I'm for my Black girls, like lifting us up, all boats rise together when we rise. And so wanted to identify myself as that, because I see myself as a queen, as I see all my other beautiful Black women as queens. And yeah, I just feel like my cooking videos are super easy. They're not crazy long. They're not anything that you have to like watch a million times, even though some people do. But if you click the caption, 9 times out of 10, I wrote the recipe or directions for you. So I just try to keep it super low key, super easy for my followers to understand. A lot of people replicate the stuff that I do, so I wanted to make sure it was easy to follow along. And so that's the tagline. I don't know if that'll be like the tagline forever, but it was the tagline for those characters on Instagram for now, for sure.
You gotta start somewhere.
You do.
I want to talk about the food a little bit, because I feel like we've been talking about the business, but like I want to get the food.
Right.
So what are your influence when you're cooking, and have you traveled? I know we mentioned traveling a little bit, or that you wanted to at least travel, but have you traveled places and brought back cuisine from there that you now incorporate into your life or to your business?
Yeah, I mean, I traveled a ton before the pandemic. I mean, my husband and I drag him along to a lot of fun places. But together we've been to a ton of different countries: Italy, France, Mexico. I was born in Jamaica, traveled across the Caribbean, Turks and Caicos, Bahamas. I mean, Greece, like all these different places. I wouldn't say that I naturally infuse what I've learned from the cuisine in places I've been to, but I probably have subconsciously, right? I think my food isn't necessarily a particular genre, even though, again, we've talked about being specific in what you're doing. And so I've tried to, in the last few months, kind of like narrow in on what it is I would define my food as. And it's pretty comforting, I would say. I'm not necessarily only giving you like Jamaican recipes or like island recipes. Like, I'm kind of giving you a taste of what I like, right? A taste of my cuisine and everything that I would prepare for myself and my family. And that is a take on my background, which is Caribbean. So y'all know I'll be seasoning, we love chicken. So like it is like it's infused in my cooking, but I still love to try so many different things. Like, I love Italian cuisine. So like on my page, you'll see a bunch of pasta, because like I'm a carb head. Like, I love carbs. I love heavy cream. I love Parmesan cheese. Like, that's just a part of what I do. And I just try to figure out how I can stretch myself and figure out different ways to change up my cuisine as I go, change up stuff as I learn, as I see things and I'm inspired. Like, how can I get better? Because if you're a home cook, like, you're probably not just going to be the same all the time for the rest of your life. You're going to get better. You're going to learn different things, different hacks, different tricks. Just giving that attribution and sharing where you got that inspiration from, I think, is the game changer.
I can imagine that, like, your house always smells good, and you probably, I don't know how many days a week you cook, but I can just imagine, like, I feel like your refrigerator is just full of food. Like, I don't know, like, full of leftovers.
Yeah,
it is.
Your children, your husband, I'm like, they're in good hands.
We're coming over for dinner, lunch, breakfast, like.
It ain't never no leftovers over here though, so I don't know what y'all gonna eat.
We'll stay. We'll watch you meal prep.
Okay.
Okay, so you have your ebook, Feel Good Comfort. What's your favorite recipe in there that you think, folks should try?
Oh my gosh. What's my favorite recipe in there? I mean, I got to go with the mac and cheese, because the mac and cheese, again, is one of those recipes that has gotten me probably the most followers on the Instagram side. And I love Feel the Comfort because I included 2 mac and cheese recipes. So my traditional, like, super easy, like 3 cheese mac and cheese, like anyone can do it. But then we have a decadent lobster mac and cheese, which is great, which was something I actually did on IG Live during the pandemic last year. So that was really fun to, like, do a cook along with my followers. But there's so many easy, delicious recipes, and Feel the Comfort is really something I did for my followers, because these are all recipes that I had published previously. But again, like, new followers have no idea. And I was like, no one's going to your blog and searching archives. So I was like, I have to produce something that is digestible enough for them, where they're going to go back to it and look at it and reference it and make it, hopefully, at their convenience. And so that was an idea I had recently. Like, these recipes need, like, a little bit more spotlight than being, like, in the archives of a blog on page 30. So I decided to create and repurpose content, which is a game changer in business. Repurpose content that would be a product.
Yes. I mean, it just makes so much sense. And it goes back to that marketing brain that you have. Like,
oh my gosh.
Clearly you are a marketing genius.
Okay.
And we love it. I mean, so now you also created Brown Girl Spice, a spice box that I believe you launched in November of 2020. Yeah, so talk about the spices there. What's your favorite spice, and why did you decide on a box? Why did you decide to call it Brown Girl Spice?
Yeah, so Brown Girl Spice was another idea I had, because it was one of those things. I'm going down this product journey. I had my 2 e-cookbooks at the time, and I just wanted something tangible that my followers and my community could have in their kitchen, that had the branding, that had the elements of not just me, but a standalone brand, if you will. And so I wanted to do the spices because I felt that if I could not be in your kitchen, then hopefully these spices could help you, on your journey in the kitchen to just being more streamlined, more seamless. Like, people are always like, girl, what you season that chicken with? Like y'all know the trilogy: garlic powder, onion powder, pepper, you know what I mean?
Yes.
It was a no-brainer. So I was like, how can I create, a product that made sense? I felt like doing single spices was just going to be too much for me as a single business person, like the CEO, the distributor, the person shipping. Like, I just wanted it to be where the juice was worth the squeeze. So I came up with the box idea, where at least you're getting more for your buck. That way you don't have to, like, continuously, like, come back to try different spices. Like, you can try them all right up front. And then Brown Girl Spice, if you think about the climate of last year and just, like, everything we've been through as a community, I felt like when I was going through this creation process, like, I just wanted something for us, by us. And it was something that resonated with me. I went through a few iterations of names, but you have to do, like, trademarks, and all of the things have to be available. And so Brown Girl Spice was the one thing that I was able to trademark, that I felt, it just felt right. It felt like the right name. It felt like at that time it was the right atmosphere for it. And I think people really appreciated kind of that moment of, like, honoring us. But it's not just for us, literally. Like, obviously everyone can try it, and they do.
Yeah. At the end of the day, we got certain cultures out here not seasoning the chicken. Okay,
hello,
season the chicken. Season the chicken. But
listen
on your website, right? Order the box.
Say it again.
They can order the box or the spices on your website.
Yeah. Shopbrowngirlspice.com. You can shop our current box. So our model is essentially, I'll come out with a new box about once a quarter has been our trend so far. We might increase or decrease, just continuing to understand the demand. It's still such a new business model that we're trying to, that I'm trying to, there's no we, it's just me, that I'm trying to scale and grow. And so, yeah, we've come out with 3 different boxes so far. But basically, once a box is released and it's removed from the site, that's your last opportunity to get it. So it's really just creating that demand, that, must have type of drop mentality that like Nike started with. And it's been good. We might change it though. Like, it's one of those things that, again, I want to iterate on the business. And I don't think that like how you started is how you have to finish. But that's how that's how I'm kind of operating the business right now. So right now you can get like our spring/summer box, which is the spices are curated for this time of year. We have barbecue. You asked me what my favorite was in this box. It probably would have to be the Greek, which was definitely inspired by my trip to Greece a few years ago. Just gives you like Santorini vibes in your food, like that lemon, black pepper, oregano. Delicious on fish. It's just great. And so, yeah, you get to try all those different 5 spices though in one box, which is really cool. So get it while you can, because again, when I take it off the site, that's it.
That's it. And you need that exclusivity. I mean, yeah, it's amazing. And I love what you were saying earlier in terms of why Brown Girl Spice, why this time. We have this segment on our show, Creators Take on the Culture. Speaking of reiterations, who knows what it might be, but the name of it, but the main segment of what we're trying to do is we're talking to creators. We're talking to folks who are interested in what they're doing, building their businesses, building their brands, are the brands. How does it really connect with the general digestions or the general societal topics that are happening right now? I don't know if you watched High on the Hog on Netflix.
Yeah, I did. I'm still watching.
You're still watching?
Still watching, me too.
Yes. No, but I literally binge watched it. So I mean, obviously won't give it away, but the same premise is the same. Like the idea of the discussion of a lot of the origins of Black culture, Black cuisine. And honestly, they had some discussions too around non-Black folks creating kind of culinary empires on the backs of what were considered, the leftovers that Black people, because of their creativity and because of, the need to eat as well, were able to
figure it out and figure it out.
And make it out. Like, so I'm just curious from your take on, as you're building your brand, really touching on, honestly, the culture, your Jamaican heritage, but also the travels that you've done, and really putting your take on Black cuisine, or putting your take on cuisine as a Black woman. What's your ideas, or what's your thoughts generally on the idea of, non-Black folks really monetizing, Black cuisine?
Yeah, no, it's hard. It's a tough conversation. I think every niche has their set of problems, right? Like within their particular community. It's definitely been something that like a lot of the publications within the food space, traditionally like white publications, they try to pay like homage to and respect to Black culture in a way where they're replicating the dishes, but just not as traditional, right, as it would be. And that's from anything in the African diaspora, like jollof rice or like whatever it is, peanut stew, like you see them create it with white hands and, with white traces of inspiration that are not aligned with how it was intended to. And I think there's a fine line between like inspiration and like replication. And I think when you're honoring something in a culture, I think you really have to pay homage in a very delicate way that is replication. You really need to follow the directions. Like, don't stray too far from what the culture has deemed, what our true foundational elements are in our food culture. And so it's a fine line. I mean, I try not to get too upset and like caught up in the whole drama and back and forth of like how sometimes food publications and different food bloggers try to emulate what Black people do in our world and in our culture, but it happens. And I think that it's just a thing where we have to call it out. And it's definitely being called out in the social media culture. And hopefully those brands and those different food bloggers are able to just learn from the mistakes and learn that, it's just a fine line. It's really delicate when you're trying to do right by a particular culture when it's not your culture.
Yeah.
And so I just hope that people can be open and that people want to learn, like truly learn and not just like illustrate, you know?
Yeah, I think that is great. At the end of the day, like I do feel, I hope, like, I don't know, how do you feel? I think I see a change with how being perceived, or people are being a little bit more open to be like, oh yeah, you're right. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this or cooking that or saying this. It's kind of, but do you think it's like a long lasting effect, or do you think it's just kind of like, oh, we're just doing this right now?
I hope it's a long lasting effect, because if you're doing this now and then 5 years from now, like it's the total opposite. Like people gonna call you, completely cancel you then. So I hope it's a long lasting effect where people are just open and want to, you know, understand the culture more and really be genuine about it, right? Versus just like doing it because I think
that there's like an openness though for that. Like, let's say, okay, yeah, because that's a good point too, to know, like, not only, we're not saying, oh, you can't ever make this or do that. It's like, you need to be open to the culture of what it is that you're trying to replicate or do. Absolutely. And then we, as the people that are creating it, also need to be open to the teaching of it as well. So you know, there's a relationship, a back and forth there.
It's there. I mean, when you think about even just 2 years ago, people were not celebrating Juneteenth. White publications were not paying homage to Juneteenth and the recipes that, you know, meant so much to our culture. And so now there's like virtual Juneteenth, like backyard barbecues, and people are like, you know, basically bringing on other food bloggers, Black food bloggers, to share in the culture, to share the different recipes. And these are things that like literally were not even happening 24 months ago. So it's going in the right direction. I just pray that openness again is genuine, and that Black creators are supported in the way that they need to be, especially in the food space. It's just very saturated, and you know.
Yeah, and I mean, I think Black creators, Black food bloggers, Black cooks, Black chefs are taking the onus too and creating their own restaurants, creating their own places where folks can really come and
to
learn
them
and support them.
And support, okay? Because we need y'all to support this podcast. We work really hard to continue to give you guys amazing content, bring on amazing guests to learn and to be taught, and to, of course, patronize these businesses that we bring on and highlight. So please continue to follow, like, and subscribe to the Black Creators Club. You guys can email us at theblackcreatorsclub@gmail.com. Follow us on the Black Creators Club on Instagram. Okay.
Watch our show on YouTube.
Watch it on YouTube. Listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Like, yo, we got y'all covered. You know, we got y'all back. So continue to have ours. And I hope you guys are enjoying the episode so far.
Yes. Let's jump straight into our game, which we are calling We Outside. Okay. We are back outside. Coronavirus is definitely not over, but stay-at-home orders are not really in effect as much. And folks are really touting this as an opportunity to enjoy the summer, to enjoy their life. And so now that folks are going out more often and open to more group events, we can't forget that food brings us together. So Chef Natasha, what we're going to do, we're going to name some events and would like you to answer with what you'd cook or what you bring to that event.
Whew. Sweating already.
You ready?
Are you ready?
So the first one is game night. We're going to game night. We know that Natasha is coming with us, so we know we're going to bring the goods.
Right.
What food would you bring to game night?
Crab spinach dip. Easy.
Ooh, okay.
Crab spinach. I'm fancy with certain things. Like, you know, game night, people just want to bring regular dip. I'm bringing the crab and spinach dip.
That sounds good.
It's cheesy. It's hot and bubbly. Delicious. People never have enough of it because you're probably only making this much because it's crab. Crab is pricey. But I just feel like with game night, you want a little bit more of a treat versus like the expected pizza or expected wings. And so I've done it several times where the crab and spinach dip, people are like, what? You know, it's like the expression that people give you. So I like that feeling.
Yeah, I've never tried that. So I mean, next game night, I mean,
never had crab dip.
You bring the dip.
Crab dip is amazing. Oh, so good.
So it sounds like that recipe might be in the book or somewhere we can find it.
Yes.
It's one of those things like I've made, but like never, like some things I'm notorious for not revisiting a lot of things. Like I'll do it once or twice and then like never do it again. But yeah, it's super easy. It's like not even like worth a recipe, but I probably will put it on now that you have it in the back of my mind.
Same. We want it. We want to know. Okay. The next event is a summer barbecue. It's hot. Definitely want some nice lemonade, some good peach tea. Like, what are you bringing to the barbecue?
Barbecues are hard. It's a summer barbecue. Are we in the park barbecue or like, are we at someone's house barbecue?
Like at the house. No, we outside. We just outside.
We just outside.
It doesn't have to be at the park. It could be at someone's house, but a beautiful backyard. Okay.
A beautiful backyard. Okay. I think I'm gonna bring my bourbon barbecue glazed ribs. Like I have to bring those because that's why I asked. We're going to the park because I want to just be eating ribs in the park now, child. I'll just bring a potato salad or something. But if we're going to someone's house.
Bourbon ribs I will eat in the park.
Bourbon glazed ribs are like, they're a labor of love because you have to have patience to make the ribs like fall off the bone tender because it takes a little time. But girls,
Yes, we're all into glamping. So the park is not, it's not the vibes. Like, we want to be at someone's house in the backyard to use the bathroom, to wash your hands. Like
I like that. Okay, so the ribs can come.
Yeah,
they can come.
But we're talking about being outside, but sometimes you want to curl up with your boo. So what are you cooking if you're having a stay-at-home date night?
Ooh, stay-at-home date night. What am I not cooking? Let me think. What's my hubby's favorite? He likes everything. See, I'm sometimes a little selfish with what I want to cook because he likes it more on the healthy side. So he'll be happy with like sweet potato this, sweet potato that, and like chicken breast or something. But I'm like, if I'm gonna make something for like a date night, I want it more comforting and like a little naughty. So like a Cajun shrimp Alfredo for date night is like my jam. Like I love anything creamy. He loves it too, but he'll be like, babe, like you couldn't do something healthier.
Yes,
he'll call me out. He'll clean his plate. It'd be that, or if we're in like a, more refined mood and not as comforting, I'll do like my crab stuffed salmon, which is just so delicious. Wow. You have that with like whipped mashed potatoes. It's really lovely as a combo. But I just feel like that's like date night appropriate, like if you inside and you hanging out, cozy. A little fancy 5-star meal at home. It's good.
I think we have to steal some of these recipes ideas. I'm glad we have this recorded because I'm gonna need to record back.
So
next
good.
time I have a date night on
Scroll on that IG, girl. The video is there.
I want it.
We're gonna find it because date night, we might have a little inside date night. We need to be popping out, cooking. We're trying to get wiped up out here. Okay.
I'm with you. Well, speaking of that, I just posted Keep a Man Chicken, girl. So you might want to just go straight to the Keep a Man Chicken because honey,
don't tell me it's chicken thighs.
You can use any dark meat, whichever one you like. Any piece of the dark meat.
Love it.
Chicken thighs. Okay, it is brunch. It's gonna be brunch with your girls. Y'all have a little kiki. We having brunch. What are you bringing? What are you cooking?
My signature. So we're doing a buttermilk fried shrimp with I call them restaurant quality scrambled eggs. And then on the bottom of that, you have a shredded sweet potato hash. And I finish it off with this like Creole, or you can call it Cajun infused cream sauce. So it's almost like a stackable dish. So you layer the sweet potato hash first, you put the soft scrambled cheddar eggs on top, and then you finish it off with the crispy buttermilk fried shrimp. And then you just drizzle on the cream sauce. It's like the craziest combination.
That sounds so
good. Like the bite is crazy. Like if you can get the perfect bite of all of those on one fork, like it's bomb. That was the first brunch recipe I did live on Instagram last year as well. And it has literally become a signature. Like people still make it to this day. It's so good.
I just never hear about the fried shrimp for brunch. It's always, the fried chicken and waffles.
And that's why I wanted to do like a play on it because it's like, it's IG live. I probably can't do fried chicken like in 40, you know what I mean? 45 minutes. Like I probably have to do something a little quicker. So what else is interesting? And like I mentioned earlier, my followers like love seafood. So I try to play into what I know people want to see, which is number one in content creation. It's not just about you, it's about what they vote for. And so I was like, I know they love shrimp, child. Let me hit them with this real quick. And it was a winner.
That was like a bottomless mimosa.
We made bellinis, we made the mimosas, honey.
No, I can't hang out with you, Chef Natasha. You'll have me all off my diet.
Girl, I be working out.
You look extremely snatched on your IG too. So I'm like, how do you balance? We're gonna get into that. That's part 2.
You be in the gym, girl.
Yes, you balance it out. We got 2 more for you. So the first is a family reunion. Now the family knows that you can cook. You're going to have to play your part. What are you bringing to the family reunion?
Well, it's not a family reunion without the right mac and cheese. So I would have to make a pan of my signature mac and cheese. I would maybe elevate it and do the lobster for the family, make it a little fancy, but mac and cheese, no brainer, because that's literally still my assignment when I go home, like for Thanksgiving and Christmas after all these years. It's like, I could make something else now. I have figured out how to make other things really well. Now you're on mac and cheese duty. That's it. Thanks. Bye.
Yes. That is such a vote of confidence. If the family is like, you're on mac and cheese.
For years, it's crazy. And they put me on that duty before I even knew how to really make it. Like I had to figure it out quick. So
you can't be messing up the mac and cheese now. You come to the family reunion without the mac and cheese,
honey.
On you.
Yes,
people will be mad, like big mad. So mac and cheese for sure, no brainer.
So last one, we know you just had a baby, so I don't know if you cooked for your baby shower. You got it catered, but if it was a baby shower, what are you cooking?
Oh my gosh, see, I haven't been to that many baby showers. I know people really love like the little meatballs at baby showers. It's like a thing. Yeah. People really love those little like what do you call them? The tinier meatballs, like cocktail meatballs. So I would probably make like a play on that with like a really good like smoky sweet type of sauce versus like your traditional marinara. Like I would do like a sweet and sour type of cocktail meatball for sure.
Yes. Ooh, we are outside. Okay, that was so good. That was so good. We're gonna have to watch all your videos on Instagram after this.
We're gonna be cooking balls after this. We're gonna be like,
come on over.
I love it.
I'm about to be sending you videos of us in the kitchen. Like, you see what we did?
Tag me.
Definitely will. Natasha, this was so good. I want to make sure that you let our listeners know where they can find you, or any last minute things you perhaps want to share.
Yeah, sure. You can find me on all social media platforms at Asili Glam Cooks. That's ASILIGLAM Cooks. My blog is asiliglam.com. If you go into the archives, you can see all the natural hair glory days. It's still all on there. I'm on YouTube, TikTok, Pinterest, all the big platforms. My e-cookbooks, you can just go to the link in my bio on any of those social media sites. And you can get straight to my e-cookbook downloads. Again, they're digital, right to your phone or your favorite device. Super easy way to save your recipes that you're interested in. My Brown Girl Spice box is available at shopbrowngirlspice.com. Again, first come, first serve. When it comes to that, we are definitely running low on inventory for this last box. So get it while the getting's good. And yeah, I would say that I've shared and covered everything so far. I'm really looking forward to staying in contact with you guys and, seeing what you cook up in the kitchen for my videos.
Definitely. And we want you, for all those listening and watching, if you guys are doing that, make sure to tag us, make sure to tag because we want to know that this was so helpful for you guys. I mean,
yes. So fun.
Keep a man thinking. That's the
love of mine. It's right there on the first row of the grid right now, child. Keep your man.
Yes.
I didn't name it. The people named it now. The people.
Wow. That's that engagement. That's right.
Yo, the engagement's wild. It's wild.
Oh my God.
I'm telling you.
That's great. Well, you can find me chatting media and motivation at Aquila Friend. Ebony, where can you find me?
Yes, you guys can find me on Instagram at Ebony Chapman 12, speaking about Black-owned businesses and, of course, our very own podcast show, right on the gram, you guys.
Yes, find us at the Black Creators Club on all platforms. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. And to remember, always abide by your ABCs.
Always be creating. Bye.